All right, everybody, this is the PI Scammer Challenge from EchoCTF, located at the CTF Beginners Network. So what's going on with this challenge? So the challenge description says personal identifiable information, otherwise known as PII, PII, Scammer Advertising Corp. So it says here, provide the registered data to gain access to the system and escalate your privileges so that you can remove all of the PII data from the scammer's systems. So to start the challenge, connect to this endpoint over here. Your timer starts from the first time you connect to the service. Okay, so let's go ahead and access the challenge. Okay, so let's go over to the to that website. Where is it? Let's put it over here. Okay, so this is what the initial application looks like. It says access denied. You don't have access to this page. Simply provide your full name so that we will email you. Promise no identifiable information is kept. Okay, so I mean, what is our name? So we are the HackerFrogs. Okay, it says thank you, HackerFrogs. So we can't really interact with the application after this, but you're going to notice that something happened. If you go over to your cookies, and you can access your cookies by going over to the corner button over here in your web browser, you can go over to more tools, you can go over to web developer tools, and inside of this little web developer tools window over here, you can access the storage. Inside the storage, there's going to be this little row over here that has all of the storage locations. So we're looking at cookies. So we're going to see that we were assigned a cookie. So the cookie we were assigned was the user cookie. We obviously don't want these scammer people to have our information. So we're just going to go to the value of the cookie. We're just going to delete everything there. And then we're going to reload the page. Okay, it says, well done, young Obi-Wan. Here's a flag for your troubles. So we get the first flag for this challenge over here. It says, don't forget to check the admin section. So there's a link to the admin page over here. So we were doing some cookie manipulation. After submitting information to the app, there's a cookie that is set, which specifies which user we're working as. So if we delete the value of the user cookie without deleting the entire cookie, we get a different response from the application, and we get our first flag. So, and we're directed towards the /admin.php endpoint. So let's see what's there. Okay, so let's go ahead and go there. So there's the admin section. So there's a link. We can just click on that. And then it says admin cookie not set. So this is more cookie stuff. So over here, what we can do is we can go over to the web developer tools. And inside of cookies here, we can actually create new cookies. So we would right click. Oh, no, there's a plus button over here. So the plus button adds an item, so we can add a new cookie. So from here, we're going to rename the cookie admin, and we're going to set it to a specific value. So most of the time in these easy web app challenges, if you're going to set an admin cookie, you would set it to the value 1 for true. And then you reload the page. So after we do this, we're able to access the application. We've actually gotten access to the application now, and it's a bunch of personal information over here. So what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to delete all of the records in here. Over here it says, can you remove all the records in this database filled with private identifiable information? It also says, no worries about messing up the database. It resets with every reload. So we don't know how to delete the information here. But interestingly enough, at the bottom of the page, there's another flag that we can submit. So we could just copy this and we could submit this flag here to get more points on the challenge. But the other question, the question we need to figure out is how do we delete any of the records here? And we can just take a look at the page source. And inside the page source, there's actually something in the comments. So in the comments, there is reference to a delete URL parameter. And we can gather from this. This is how we delete things from the application. So we would go to the admin PHP, and then the parameter would be delete equals 1. And I guess 1 is the ID of whatever table, whatever row we want to delete. So let's go back. So if we go here and we want to delete Tyra Mitchell, we go to the URL bar, we do delete equals 1. So if we do delete equals 1, then the first row is deleted. But the problem is that we need to delete every one of these. And it also says that the database resets with every reload. So if we try to delete 2, then 2 is deleted, but 1 reappears. Okay, so how do we figure this out? We need to do some SQL injection to delete everything at once. Let's talk about this. Okay, so on the admin.php endpoint, we see that the page is expecting an admin cookie. So we can set one for ourselves. We can set up the value for the cookie as 1, and then the cookie name is going to be admin. So once we have the admin cookie set, we see a table with all sorts of personal information. At the bottom of the table, there's a flag waiting for us. So we get another flag here. We also see that there's a function that the app uses to delete users. But the challenge description says that we need to delete the entire table all at once. So how do we do this? So to delete all of the entries at once, we need to modify the SQL statement with the injection. So we would usually see an SQL statement like this used to delete rows from the table. So the app likely uses an SQL statement similar to the one above to delete the entries. And the red part of the statement is where we can inject SQL instructions. So we controlled this part right here. Delete from table name where ID equals number. So we can put in the number. So either 1 or 2 or whatever number. If we use an injection like the one above in the red text, it will delete all of the entries. So this is an SQL injection where we put in 1 or 1 equals 1. So it's either going to be deleting row number 1 or it's going to delete everything. So 1 equals 1 means true. So delete 1 or true is going to delete every row in the table. So the or 1 equals 1 part of the statement will adjust the statement so it will match all of the ID numbers. And then we get the final flag from the challenge. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So it's going to be this right here. Okay, so this is the part of the page where we delete stuff. We'll just go up to here. We'll put in our payload over here. It's going to be delete 1, single quote, or 1 equals 1, and then dash dash space. So when we give this payload, okay, I think, let's try that again. Okay, so that worked. So awesome work, you removed all the PII from the system. Here's your reward, and then we've got a flag. So we can just copy this flag, and we can supply this to the application. Sorry, not the application, the EchoCTF website. Paste it in. And it'll tell us that we have claimed this flag before, because we have claimed this flag before. So okay, everybody, that was a guided walkthrough for the PII Scammer Challenge over at EchoCTF from their CTF Beginners Network. If you enjoyed this guided walkthrough, please click on the like and subscribe buttons on the video and leave a comment underneath the video. But until next time.
Hey there, HackerFrogs! Are you enjoying this workshop? Learning new concepts and skills? If so, there's a way you can support the channel, and it's totally free. Just click on the subscribe button below the video. Also, click on the like button. And if you have questions or comments on this workshop, please leave them below the video. Thanks for listening. And now, back to our scheduled programming.